Welcome back to a bonus day. I'll tell you, if you're back today, you're hardcore, which I love. That means you're really into it. I created this because I was watching all your videos and they were so inspiring. In fact, I'm going to just show you one. And one is not fair because there's so much diversity of people and examples, but just one more grab example this morning of the kind of transformation people are making. So proud. How many of you made some real shifts that you're really proud of right now in your life? But the reason I want to throw this extra day in is because two things. There's so many questions about finance, and of course we didn't cover that here. So I'm going to at least take one or two questions around that, and the other one, is around health, because we've covered just so many other areas. Obviously covered your relationships and things of that nature. So I want to answer a couple of those. But the main reason I want to do this today is I saw a pattern that many of you have. Like you made a distinction, you made a shift, and then you took it away. And I want to make sure that I get it across to you. So I actually wrote these down as kind of little checklists. I'm going to give you, I think, 5 things that I noticed that I want you to be consciously aware of that are patterns that will suck you back if you don't deal with them. You do all this progress and then screw it all up. And a lot of people have these patterns, they just don't know them. So I figured it'd be worth doing that. And since I've already got you, I'll answer a question or two around finance and health. And then I thought I'd share with you when I go to coach somebody, there's 5 things I look at that help me know whether they're going to be able to turn things around or not. And if they're not, I know what I've got to change. And so I'm going to give them to you so you can coach yourself, or you can look at them from the perspective of something you might want to do for somebody you care about. And whether it be your children or your friends or your husband or wife or whoever it is, somebody that you work with on a daily basis. And then I'm going to finish here with, and it's going to be a tighter session today, briefer session, but I want to finish with a really powerful process. So make sure you stick to the end here. We're going to be a little shorter today, a little tighter today, because I wasn't expecting to do this, but I'm excited to give you an experience that's kind of it's a massive state change. I'll just put it that way, so you'll see it. So this morning, I want to start with just an example of just the type of so many beautiful changes, and we try to edit it down, so I didn't get to see the edited version, but it was only 3.5 minutes. The longer version was 6 or 7. Some of you may have seen Kelly Kilrea, but take a look. This is just one example of what our community has done for each other. Here we go.
I want to tell the truth out loud about my smallness and about my bigness. I've been hiding. I've been invisible. Before I joined the military when I was 17, I had really big dreams. I wanted to help create massive change in the world. I wanted to love everybody. I wanted to be a peacekeeper and give out teddy bears and build schools and help. I was optimistic and bright and so energized and full of fire. And then military happened, and I came out with this old identity of the broken veteran. Small, can't do anything, I'm not capable, not useful, not contributing. Beliefs like I don't have value, I'm worthless, and feeling dull and flat and empty, and at my lowest, considering suicide. The old identity and the stories of worthlessness and powerlessness and brokenness left me for decades paralyzed with inaction and contraction and smallness and fear. And honestly, not contributing, not helping in the way I came here to help has left me out of integrity with myself, with my true nature, with who I came here to be and what I came here to do. And so I'm so excited, actually, to be brave, to step out and to embrace a new identity. And the question was, how can I change or expand my new identity this year to change my life? And I have learned from this summit that I need to move my body, and that when I move and I get energized, I feel like a different person. I feel so excited. I feel alive. I feel a little bit of the fire that I used to have before everything changed. I'm going to let myself be seen. I'm going to speak up. I'm going to say out loud what I can do and how I can help and share some of the incredible spiritual gifts that I've been given and that I know help people. I'm going to stop listening to the voices inside that reinforce the old identity. Proactively, I'm going to show up for myself.
Give her a hand for sharing. Listen, I just wanted to acknowledge you. So many of you, your representation of so many people that made breakthroughs. And I want you to notice, I'd like you, those of you who are watching, put, if you would, in the chat box, what did you just learn from her? What did you see that she did that you can recognize, even if it's not the same pattern for you? What changed her? What change did you see in her? I already see the light coming through. She changed her state. I saw she stopped holding her hands, started moving differently. She was honest with herself. She moving her body to transform her state, owning her energy. I'm ready to follow her footsteps. Great attitude adjustment. Just start, don't wait. Own it, girl. Clouds to the sun. Physiology, state is everything. Give everybody a hand. That's absolutely right. It's absolutely right. You've had quite a bit of feedback from the community. Tell me what you've experienced here. What have you gotten from this experience?
I didn't know that was possible. Today I went on the thing, Facebook, and there was all these messages, and I just thought that was for other people. I didn't know people could be so kind, and that I would factor or anybody would care. And so it's really, really moving and touching, and it's just blowing my whole story out of the water that I have not seen.
Incredible.
Can't argue with that anymore.
Can't argue with reality. Well, a belief is a poor substitute for an experience. And you've had the experience of your vulnerability being rewarded. But also, the most important thing for you now is to keep that physiology, what you just said. And so you've got to condition it, because when you went through the Army, you went through a conditioning process, and it changed you. Yeah. And so you can't just understand this or do this a little time. You have to have a real conditioning process. So because of your contribution committee, I'm going to send you to Unleash the Power Within as our guest. I want you to play full out and make that happen. Give her a hand. Look it up, but Sean was, again, so vulnerable. But the most powerful thing about you, Sean, was that when you made the shift, the ownership of yourself, tell me just what have you gotten from this experience?
I learned that the world wasn't limiting me. I was limiting myself.
Yes. Yes.
And this morning, for the first time, I looked at myself in the mirror and I told myself, I am enough.
Yes.
And I said it about 4 times because I knew that I can just say it myself. But if I don't look at myself and say it, it's not gonna mean much. And I said it with power. And also, last night I finally figured out what each of my 4 archetypes are and kind of how they fit, and learned that I was always letting the warrior lead when in fact I should have been letting the magician lead.
Yeah, give him a hand for that. That's beautiful. So they didn't watch the video. Sean shared that he's had autism and his whole life people have told him he's worthless, stay in your lane, you can't do this, you can't do that. And he bought into the fact that he wasn't worth anything. And the difference in his physiology, if you watch that video, and who he is now is so radically different. Yeah, give him a hand. He needs to hear that and understand how much he's there. And, the other thing that you did, and I want everybody to see this, is most of us have been hypnotized into our limitations. People say to me, do you use hypnosis, Tony? No, I'm a dehypnotist. What I got to do is dehypnotize you from all the things that you've allowed to control you. I can't do this, I can't do that, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't know the right people, I don't have the resources. I have autism, I have whatever, I'm a girl, I'm a boy. It doesn't matter what it is. We get hypnotized. And what you're doing right now, I really want to acknowledge you for, Sean, is you're hypnotizing yourself. You're when people talk about this idea of hypnosis or being in a trance, we've all heard the word transcend, to transcend something, to go from one place to something completely different. Transcend means to end the trance of limitation. And you looking directly in the mirror. This is what I did when I got kicked out of my house and I was depressed and thought, maybe I shouldn't stick around. My mom and dad were splitting up. My brother and sister were separated from me. I had no money. And I used to go to the mirror and I used to write on the mirror and soap my outcomes of my goals. I used to put these posters on the wall that said, only a loser's depressed. Because the one thing I knew is I wasn't a loser, which, by the way, isn't true. You're not a loser if you're depressed. You're just in a depressed state. But I used that as leverage to change myself. And I'd look in that mirror and I would do these incantations over and over again. And I'd say to this is what I'm going to do. This is who I am. And I would do it for 20, 30 minutes at a time. Then I'd go on runs and do it. Started with walking and running. And I did it because also I did it on finance. I did it over and over again. God's wealth is circulating in my life. His wealth flows to me in avalanches of abundance. And I'd see avalanches of joy, happiness, love, economic, all of it. Economic abundance, all my needs, all my desires, all my goals are met instantaneously by infinite intelligence. For I'm one with God and God is everything. Amen. I would do that for 45 minutes on a walk and then a run over and over and over again till I created this man and I created this abundance and I created this life. So I really want to acknowledge you and I want to ask you to keep doing it. And I'm going to also invite you to the seminar as my guest. You've been an incredible inspiration to this community. Give it up for him, ladies and gentlemen, Sean Kirk. We have to condition ourselves, guys. We have to. And again, this will be your last chance today. We're 80% sold out. By the way, I heard we had big problems with our, what do they call it? What was the thing they had a problem with where they go to check out? Yeah, I guess the cart yesterday broke down and a large number of you, huge number of you got kicked out. They have fixed it today. So if you want to come to the event, we really want to have you. And, I'd give it all to you, but honestly, if you invest in it, you're going to get more out of it. So I hope the heck you commit today and follow through. And in that light, though, I want to acknowledge somebody else. And it's a gentleman named Tyler Green. Tyler Green, I found out, saw some people that really said they desperately wanted to go. He called and talked to them on the phone and decided that he would help them. He helped 3 people. He paid for 3 strangers' tickets. Will you give it up for Tyler Green, just for 3 people here to help? Tyler, you're amazing. Give him a hand for that. Generous. Whoa. why did you decide to buy 3 tickets for strangers? I honor you for it. That's beautiful. But why did you decide to do that?
Yeah, so I decided to do this because I read your book, Awaken the Giant Within, a couple years ago. And it was the first time that I really looked at myself and wanted to be a better person and be the real version of me. And I figured if I could do it through a book, these people that might be struggling a little bit more than me or are desperate for it, I could help them in any way. I've been blessed to be living at home, saving money with a good job. And I figured the best way to be to give back because you changed my life. And I wanted to give back and help these other people. Maybe I can be a catalyst for them and help them out.
Wow, that's incredible. Give them a hand. That's incredible. Tyler, do you have your own business or are you going to school or?
No, so I'm a senior analyst for a public finance company, helping doing property tax bill administration out in California. I work remote a lot of the time, so right now I'm in Hawaii. But yeah, so I'm trying to figure out if I can maybe transition into maybe run my own business or do something like that. But for now, I'm just trying to save money and figure out what I can do and try to help as many people as I can along the way with the resources that I have.
Well, I have a 5-day boot camp for businesses, and people come who have not started business. There are people there with $400, $500 million businesses. It is my number one skill, truthfully, is being able to grow a business because the skills that change people are what skill change a business. That's I'm doing $12 billion in business now. I started with nothing. And that is a day and night full blast event. It's coming up in August. It's here in Palm Beach, Florida. It's $10,000 because people's guarantee is if you don't at least go up 30%, you pay nothing. People go 30 to 130% in their growth of their business or they start it. So because you took us so many people, I'm going to send you a ticket to Business Mastery, and I want to meet you in person. You've been giving to others. I want to give back to you. Give it up for him, ladies and gentlemen. My team will stay on this. Thank you, brother. Whoa, yes. I interviewed, when I was growing up, one of the things that I figured out, since there was no one around me that had financial abundance, no one. We were starving. We didn't have enough money for food. My uncles, aunts, no one, no father, nobody had. There was no role model of possibility. So I initially escaped through books. Books were my way to leave the suffering and the pain and see there was a way out. And one of the books I remember reading when I was most depressed and thinking maybe I don't belong here on this earth was Man's Search for Meaning. If you've not read the book, I highly encourage you all to read it. It's by Viktor Frankl. If you don't know the story, I won't tell you the whole details, but I'm actually making the movie of it now. And it's an extraordinary story. It's one of the great books of the last 50 years. He was a psychiatrist, a Viennese psychiatrist from Vienna, and obviously a Jewish man. And he was taken away with his entire family to Auschwitz. All his family was killed in front of him. And the only thing that made him survive is he had this obsession with understanding what makes someone survive versus not, because most people didn't survive. And what he found by studying them was that the only ones that made it, like if the food came in, everybody fought for the food and they tried to eat it right away, he knew they were going to die. It was the people that had reason to live beyond this moment, something I call a compelling future, which we'll touch on today. But if you got a compelling future, you can deal with anything today, no matter how bad it is, if you create a compelling tomorrow. But without a vision, people perish, same thought. And he made it through that camp and lived to be in his 80s and fell in love again, fortunately, and had an extraordinary life and really taught people that meaning is something you control. The world can take everything from you except your capacity, your attitude, your mindset to find something meaningful in your life, even in your suffering. Many of those people said, I'm going to suffer today, but it's worth it because someday I'm going to stand in front of other people and say, never again. So this can never happen again. And so I want you to realize you must create that for yourself. And we've done that with you here for 3 or 4 days, but it won't last. It's like a warm bath if you don't create the conditioning. So again, we're happy to help you with it, but if it's not me, you've got to find something. Otherwise, 6 months, 3 months, you'll be back to where you were. The reason things worked, as you saw in the Stanford study, was that immersion for 4 days and nights, 12 hours a day to do it. There's nothing that competes to it. But I'm not saying you have to come with it, but you got to do something. And the other thing I want you to notice is the patterns that will start taking you backwards. So I'm going to give you 5 because I've already seen them watching a lot of videos and a lot of people making progress, but I know it's going to get taken back. So let me give you 5 of those real quick. I literally jot them down like a little checklist for you. So the first one that I noticed is a lot of you use the language "my" when you describe your fear or your anxiety or your depression. You know, this, my anxiety, my fear, my depression is getting in the way of my ability to turn things around, my loss. And when you use the word "my," I know this sounds simplistic to many of you, you are literally hypnotizing yourself so you cannot separate from it. Now, I can talk a little shorthand for you because you spent a couple days with me now, or at least a couple hours a day for a couple days. Remember we talked about identity? I said to you at the time, anything you attach the word "I am" to, with enough emotional intensity and consistency, you will become. Whatever I am, that's what you're going to be. Remember I described the thermostat? And I said, you know, if you set it 78 degrees and that's who you think you are, you want more, but this is who you are, and all of a sudden it drops way below what you think it should be, you feel pressure to get back to where you are. But also, if you have this, call it center of gravity, if you would, this worthiness, and you do more than that, your brain's going to go, that's not me, and bring you back down again. So "my" is a death sentence. You cannot use "my" for anything that is a limitation for you, or that limitation will become permanent. And every time you say "my this, my that," you're locking it in further. Many of you did these great videos, and you were in a great state because you learned to do that part, but you're in the state for the moment, and then you said, and so this is really great, you know, and I really hope that I'm able to get rid of my this anxiety, my this, my that. I can't tell you how many times I heard it. So it's one of the reasons I called this day is like, if you do that, we just wasted 3 days. You must catch yourself, and you can use just one word. You say erase, because you're going to say it out of habit probably, right? My anxiety. Who does this? Raise your hand if you're aware of the fact that you do this with something, right? So what you want to do is like erase. And when I say erase, you can't just say erase. You just like jolt your body, like erase. So your body gets a signal, no, erase. That's not true. And then say a deeper truth. No, but you might say, but Tony, but I am experiencing this. Yes, you're experiencing a pattern. There's a difference between, I'll give you an example. How many of you have ever felt depressed? Raise your hand, give me a thumbs up if you're on YouTube. Raise your hand and make some noise if you've ever felt depressed. Okay, is there a difference between somebody who feels depressed and a person who believes they're clinically depressed? Yes, there's an identity difference. Now think about this. I want to hear your response to this. Do you think clinically depressed people that have been diagnosed as depressed, do you think they ever have happy moments? This means yes, this means no. What do you think? Give me a thumbs up if you think they do, thumbs down if they don't. Which one? Absolutely they do. But if you catch them a happy moment, they go, no, it just looked like I'm happy, I'm really depressed. Because it's become their identity. It's my life. This is who I am. It is the most important element. I told you this last couple of days, and I know you only got 2-3 hours a day, and we talked about a lot of things. But identity is controlled by whatever you attach "I am" to with enough consistency. Remember I gave you the example of 9/11? No matter where you are in the world, if you were alive, you remember the moment you heard about the 9/11 disaster in New York, you remember where you're sitting. How many remember where you were sitting, who was around you, what you saw, right? If you were alive, I know there are people who weren't alive at that time, young people. But if I asked you again, where were you on 8/11 of the same year? No clue, because information without emotion is barely retained. One of the powerful ways you condition yourself is not doing just repetitions of something. It's the level of intensity that we're going to generate day and night for 4 days. It's duration and intensity. You have to get that intensity. What will take it all away is this hypnotizing pattern of constantly telling yourself, my. It's okay to say, look, I have engaged in a pattern in the past, right? I've had this pattern of doing this, but it's not who I am. That separation of identity is the difference between having felt depressed or being depressed all the time because you think that's who you are. By the way, have you ever seen two people argue over who has a bigger problem? They're arguing over whose problem is more significant. I'm depressed. Oh yeah, I'm bipolar, right? It's so ridiculous, right? So you got to be careful because a lot of people, their problem becomes an asset because it's a way to be significant. They're not significant in what they've achieved in their life. Listen, we've all fallen short, right? I've certainly fallen short. Who's fallen short from what you think you should be or do at times? But if you fall short and you fall short a bunch of times and you hate feeling that way, it brings up the deepest fear that everyone has. Every human being's deepest fear is they're not enough. It isn't just a few that said that. You may not be feeling that right now, but who's ever felt like you weren't beautiful enough, smart enough, rich enough, fast enough, quick enough, young enough, old enough for someone whose love you craved? Who's ever felt that? And when you feel like you're not enough, it leads to the deeper fear, which is I won't be loved. And if I won't be loved, love is the oxygen of the soul. A baby, if they're not physically held, kinesthetically loved, they develop something, doctors in their room or nurses will tell you, called failure to thrive syndrome. They literally die. That's how much important love is to us. So what people do out of fear of not looking like enough is they come up with a story about why that's happening. It's because I have ADHD, it's because I was raped. And by the way, it may be true, you may have been raped. The most horrible thing, I want to kill this person that hurt you. But that was 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. That's not why you're not in a relationship today. It's because you're scared. You would have been scared if you hadn't gone through that. Every cell in your body gets replaced on a regular basis. The skin on your hands is replaced every 90 days. The lining of your stomach every 90 days. Every atom in your body is changed every 2 years. There is nothing you are currently living in that existed 2 years ago except your memory. And if you rent space to a problem in your head and you use that to say, well, this is, if it wasn't for this, I'd be where I want to be. It's not that I'm not enough. It's not that I'm worthy of love. It's just I got this big problem. The biggest problem on earth, remember I said people think they shouldn't have problems? The number one drug for problems, the number one drug is not alcohol, it's not cocaine, it's not meth, it's problems. See, if you describe your problem, then it's not your fault or it is your fault, but you want people to love on you and reassure you. That will not give you the life that you want. You've got to cut a line on the sign. This is not who I am. I may have behaved that way. I may have had that pattern, but that's not who I am and I'm moving forward. Not my thing, because then you're going to hang on to it and progress will be not. How many get this? Make some noise if I got through to you. Okay?